We are. I have been waiting for this time, for this moment, for a long time because I always wanted Jim to be here.
Yeah, he always would talk about you.
Yeah, we met about, I would say, close to 25 years ago.
Yeah, about
Oh,
that.
really?
Yes.
It's been that long?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, I
Yes,
didn't
it
know
was
that.
about the year 2000, 2001, and trained together for a little bit, and the reason why we are right here is because Jim did something really cool with the city of Fontana and the police department.
When you guys met, though, and before we get into that, maybe, what your position is in the Fontana Police Department, and the follow-up question is, when you first started training, were you already a police officer?
Yes. So, first of all, I've worked with, this will be my 25th year with the city. And prior to that, I worked LAPD for a few years. So, I was already a police officer. I kind of grew up wrestling, and so I had a little bit of a grappling background, but it was, I enjoyed it a lot, and I was looking for, when you get out of school and there's no avenue to go train anywhere, and that was probably, the UFC was just kind of really getting started, and there was a introduction to submission grappling. So I was looking for a place somewhere to train, and then when I came out here, I think you remember Darren Robbins, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, Darren's the one that told me about WCG. So I was living in Fontana, kind of like you were at the time, driving up to Victorville to go train up there. And I was just looking for, I really enjoyed it, and I just wanted to find a place, as an adult, outside of organized school programs and stuff, somewhere to go train.
Right. And then now we have the Fontana Police Department, which we've had an episode before where we had the officers here. But how did that happen? How did the whole department now train here? Is it because of you? Or I don't really know the backstory, and a lot of people don't know.
I wouldn't say it's because of me, but so years ago when I first started with Fontana, and I first started training, Billy Green, who was our prior chief, he had trained before, and he was one of our defensive tactics instructors. And we would train every once in a while, and he knew the value in it. And so as time goes on, the years go on, it got to the point where he was the chief and I'm one of the captains there. And there was an opportunity to, we were kind of in a position to do something at that point, and there was an opportunity to look at trying to get what we're doing now, where it's available to the entire department. So there was a department, I believe it was in Missouri, that was kind of a pilot for it, and they had put it out to everybody as a model of how they did it, and we looked at doing it, and it super fortunate in the fact that I've known Franklin for so long.
Yeah.
And Franklin has a gym here in town. It's hard to find a place that's not just jiu-jitsu or not just striking, kind of, an all-around MMA style of a gym. And Franklin was, it was a very fortunate circumstance how everything worked out. So at the time, Chief Green gave the go-ahead to look into it and start putting this partnership together, and talk to Franklin. And obviously Franklin is he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in your life, but in addition, very big supporter of law enforcement.
Yeah.
And so he was really excited with the idea of getting the officers in here to train. So it was kind of just a really perfect set of circumstances that put it together.
Yeah. And I'm curious, though, for the police officers, do you guys make it mandatory? Is it just an option? Do you guys just share the idea with them? Or is it something that you guys are like, no, you guys have to train? Because I know not all the officers come, right?
No.
So how does that work?
So there is a requirement that we give them training, and every 18 months they have to go through training in defensive tactics. There's so much mandatory training, you know, from shooting and de-escalation and mental health and all kinds of stuff that we have to go through. So there is an aspect of it that is directly related to defensive tactics training. So we do that, but the idea was, and it's grown, and you've seen, you know, how it grows, but the idea was to offer it. Franklin and his coaching staff have come to our trainings that we host. He's been kind enough to let us host trainings here, and kind of bring everybody in and, you know, kind of break down you know, people get a little anxious about coming and training somewhere, and they don't know what to expect, and so we've brought them in here to come train here to kind of ease that a little bit. We encourage it as much as we can, and with the idea that it would eventually grow on its own.
Right.
Which is what it's doing. With now we have, you know, several of our units come here. They bring the entire unit to come train. A lot of our people come here in their off time and train, and so it's one of those things that it's still developing, but it's really kind of taken off in the past 6-8 months. It's really kind of taken off.
You know, you asked Jim about if he is the main reason why he is. He's not gonna say that. I know this guy for the longest time. But seriously, there is no way, Jim, that we will be here sitting and we will have what we have without you pushing this thing. Because at the beginning we talked a few times and you say, you know, it's liability, they don't wanna, and little by little, I don't know how he did, but that's why we're here. I know that for a fact, because and if it's a person then, you know, is qualified to do that, teach it, everybody in the department is him. He's a black belt for many years, and it's good to know that even though he pretty much don't need to be here.
Yeah.
You see him every Wednesday here, just, you know, running with everybody, teaching everybody. I try to get him involved. Sometimes he's very quiet. I say, hey Jim, what do you think about this?
Very humble.
try to get him involved. No, that's good, coach. Like that is good. But I really think you motivate so many people to be here because, you know, like you, Tyler, Adrian, Kellen, they don't need to be here. They, you know, they are really good in what they do.
Yeah.
But because of them, is like a little attracted to the other guys. We were talking a little bit ago about some of the guys, and the leadership is what is getting this a little bit better. No, a lot better.
I had a question, which is, how does this type of training differ from the traditional law enforcement terms, like self-defense, the tactics that you guys do? Like, what's the biggest difference that you've seen?
I think, so when I started, I went through the Los Angeles Police Academy in 1996. And at that time, they had developed their arrest and control curriculum, and there was a lot of grappling aspects to it. And you know, Gene LaBelle, the Machados, the Gracies, they came in and helped them develop that program. But it was really rudimentary on how it was put together. I think with any idea that you have, it's really hard to get that idea to grow, and people are apprehensive and kind of like coming here. So they started out and developed their program, and that's what I did when I went through the police academy. And then it develops over time, I think, where people start to see the value in it, and then you know, they open their minds a little bit more, and they're not so apprehensive to it. We did a lot of ground fighting based training when I first started, but over the years we've transitioned that more, and then just really recently in the last couple of years, we do a lot more ground based fighting system training. it's a lot different, I think, to get people to kind of open their mind to it. But we see, like, just from the partnership that we've had here and the use of force incidents that we have, a lot more control, a lot more, once we can get them to the ground and control them, it's pretty much done at that point. Then it's just a matter of getting handcuffs on them. But it's not impact weapons. It's not a lot of, the tools that I guess a layperson would go to if they were in a fight, a bar fight, let's say, as an example, where people just start punching people. That's kind of what our natural defense is.
Yeah.
Now they have a lot more confidence in it. They have a lot more tools in the toolbox, per se, to be able to use the things that they're learning here to control in the field. There's a big difference in it.
And I would imagine it would decrease the injuries that officers also.
Injuries to officers and suspects, and that's important.
Yeah.
We're not in the business of going out and injuring people, obviously. Sometimes we do have to use force to effect an arrest and get control of somebody, but we're looking to use the minimal amount that we can possibly use, and that mitigates injuries to both sides.
Right. Could you've created like a whole curriculum, or what? Can you talk a little bit more about that on how you guys go about it?
We are working on that right now because we talked about that probably about a year ago, about the curriculum.
Yeah.
And we put something together, and you see, they help me just with all the paperwork, and we submit it, and we just get approved. We just get approved to teach the program, the survival tactics, to anybody in any department. We can certify people. Thanks to these guys too, again, because seriously, I don't think it will. It's really hard to get that kind of stuff going on, especially because there is some big names controlling the whole survival tactics and around the country. And then for us to have being blessed to have that curriculum and teaching to the people is really good.
So SWAT team is also a part of this. Is that connected with Fontana PD, or how does that?
Yeah, so we have a regional SWAT team, and it's comprised of us, Rialto Police Department, and Colton Police Department.
Oh, okay.
So, basically the SWAT team now comes here and trains once a month. They would normally get together and work out, and that would be the beginning of their training day. They train 2 full days every month. So they come here now, and instead of just doing a workout at the station, they're actually coming and learning a skill. I've been in here with them pretty much every time they've come, and the difference in the ability level of everybody that's on the team it's ridiculous. And that's just once a month coming in,
Wow.
I think, I see and that when we start doing this, even the SWAT then is like elite, and there were a lot of power behind everything. All the guys are really big and everything, and a lot of times we think that, hey, you're big, you should win this fight.
Right.
You are strong. And when they come here and they see that it's so much more than that, and I love seeing them doing what they are doing now, because you roll with them one day, and then you don't roll with them for 3 or 4 months. Then you roll again with them. You say, okay, what just happened?
Yeah.
This guy is getting so much better. It's
so cool.
So good to see that.
Do you see an impact in their mental state, or maybe their decision making, or have you heard that this also impacts how they act under pressure?
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you there's something to be said about the physical aspect of it. And they would do a workout, but you're never going to push yourself as hard as somebody's going to push you on the mat, right? And the skill aspect of it that's huge too. But I think that with the grappling, in my experience and watching it with people through the years, but you develop everybody has a limit. If I go to the gym and I'm working out, there's like a limit that I'm going to probably slow myself down on, and you can't do that. And you realize right away that what you thought was your limit really isn't what your limit is. Somebody will push you past the limit. And then the more you do that, you realize your limits are way, way different than what you thought that they were. And you do develop ways to manage that and not panic. And you see it where people come in and they get put in a bad position and they panic and then they wear themselves out. And the thought process as you're going through that becomes different over time, where you learn to manage it a little bit better. You learn not to panic. You learn to stay in control and not let your emotions get the best of you. So I think that that's a huge aspect of it. And I think that, understanding that because I feel like I'm in a bad position, because I'm tired, because I can't seem to get enough oxygen in my body, and I'm in a what I believe is an inescapable position in a controlled environment here, and you learn to work through that. If you get out in the field, that it just becomes natural at that point, and it does make a huge difference. It's made a big, big difference for me over the years. There's so many benefits to training, but that's been one of the big things, is that learning to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right.
And that definitely transfers to these guys in the field.
Yeah.
What I see is that at the beginning everybody came and like Jim say, go hard, and a minute later there, everybody's tired. Everybody is trying to.
Me, the first time I tried jiu-jitsu.
And you learn how to, pace yourself.
Yeah.
I am in control. I can do this. And if you are in a bad position, you get in those bad positions so many times here. Seriously.
When you go out there, it's just way less of an impact.
It changed everything.
Yeah.
You see a guy being in a bad position, pushing and doing everything, then you see them doing the right thing, underhook, go, we gotta move the body this way, and it's so amazing because it's a transformation completely. These guys are getting so. Yesterday I was talking actually with Adrian and Kellen, I think, and I say, if you don't know, then these guys are Caps. You will never notice when you grapple with them. You are rolling with people that know martial arts now.
Yeah.
If you don't know these guys, you never think they are cops, or you just think they are guys doing jiu-jitsu for a long, long time. It's so good. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
And if you can use that one, I think what we are doing is just helping these guys, sometimes go back home at the end of the night safe.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell the guys, if this it helped you 1% or 2% every day, just to know that if you get in a fight at work, you can just go home, see your family again and stuff like that, because the police right now is very limited with what you guys can do. There are so many things that can be maybe easy for them to do a work than, just, hey, let's choke this guy out, handcuff him and take him to, but now they can't even do that. Now we gotta figure out different techniques in order for them to do their job. When the bad guys don't have, they don't have any kind of restriction, exactly. Then seeing that, and sometimes, Mark is one of the guys that sometimes, hey coach, can we do this, or whatever technique he think, and we do it, like just to get better in a specific area. Or one of the guys say, oh, I got in a fight, or I was trying to arrest the guy and he tried to do this. What can we do about that? I love those questions, because we can fix something, then it's gonna help another cop later on. You know,
Yeah.
it's really good.
I have a friend who's a cop in San Diego, and I actually sat down with him on a podcast, and he was telling me he was just telling me stories of how dangerous it is to be a cop, and I don't think a lot of people realize how much you guys put on the line for our community. So as a citizen of Fontana, I'm grateful that this is a part of our police department, because not only for you guys, but also even for the citizens, that sometimes people are they're not trying to hurt, but you know, they can go and be a little reckless sometimes. And as far as like the citizens, and to know that they can protect themselves and protect the citizens, you know, in situations, it's definitely a good feeling for sure.
I think, you know, one thing that I know you've experienced, and I think it's lost, you know, a lot of times, is we hire people, right? We hire the same class of people, or, you know, from the same pool as any other company or any other business hires from. And there is no blueprint to say, hey, I'm going to take this person and then I'm going to make them a police officer, and everybody has an expectation that they're John Wick, you know, that
Yeah.
that you can just go out,
Superheroes.
and you know that's not, it's just not reality. And we give them training, but the training is everything. It's all encompassing of pretty near every discipline of law enforcement, whether it's writing reports, to understanding the law, to de-escalation. And, you know, this is a component of it, but we're also hiring, you know, the minimum age is 21 years old. And you take
really young,
a
still.
21-year-old kid, you know, and I was there one time, I'm not being disrespectful, but,
No, for sure.
you know, a 21-year-old kid with very limited life experience.
Yeah.
And you call them out to a domestic violence incident or, you know, any other thing, and they don't necessarily, you know, always have the skills to deal with that. And but we expect perfection, and
right.
you know, it's an unattainable thing. But anything that we can do to accelerate that, and
Sure.
and there is a difference between, I just got out of the academy 6 months ago, and I'm going out and handling a situation, to I've been doing this for 25 years, and I've done this hundreds of times, maybe not this exact scenario, but I've been through this, and I have an experience on how to handle it that I can draw from. You know, there's a difference there between that experience level, and I think, you know, this kind of training is one of those things that accelerates that experience level, because it gives them the confidence that if this does turn bad, if this is in a position where I have to defend myself right now, I'm at least confident that I can do that.
You guys can
know?
do your job better, because I know
Yeah.
domestic violence, from what my friend told me, that's like the most dangerous situation for you guys most
Yeah,
of the time.
it can be, yeah.
'Cause the emotions are high and everything like that. So, were you gonna say something?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna ask, given this, would you recommend this to other departments in other cities, and have you, and if so, why?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, I would recommend it. I think, you know, anybody out there who is looking to, if you're in the police business and you're not trying to incorporate this, you're making a big mistake.
Yeah.
I just, in my own personal experience, you know, you're going into situations on a daily basis, you know, and where you can only pre-plan for it so much. A lot of times you're the only resource that you have that's right there. You know, you will have people come assist you, but you don't know how long it's going to take for somebody to get there. And you need to figure out a way to deal with it, right? And there's a lot of correlation to what we do in the field, you know, that we do here, in how to help mitigate those situations. But I think, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you learn more about yourself
Yeah.
doing this than, I mean, it's great.
big
Like,
mirror.
I've learned
Yeah.
a lot about grappling in the time that I've been doing it. And I still have a lot to learn, and you know, it's a never-ending thing. But I've learned more about myself, and again, what my limits are,
How you
and
react in situations.
yeah, and it makes you a different person.
Yeah.
It really does. And there's a lot of other aspects to it in addition to that. That's a huge one for me. I think about it all the time, like the time that I've spent doing jiu-jitsu, I could have been a doctor, you know, in the hours, right, that you spend doing this. And I think I got a better education doing jiu-jitsu than, you know, any other thing that I've ever done.
Because it reflects life and you can take it on in any situation.
And you know, resilience and battling diversity and being put in bad situations, and you know, even when it's just short periods of time, you learn how to deal with that stuff mentally.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm still in positions, and I know you've been there before, but it's probably been years, but you've been there before where you're thinking, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit. And I'm not saying like quit jiu-jitsu, I'm saying you're in a bad position on the mat and you're trying to figure out, I can't figure out a way out of this and I think I'm done. And then you slip out of it, right?
Yep.
And you realize, okay.
That euphoric feeling of
you know,
broke through.
But again, when you're trapped and you're tired and you're not strong enough and you're not fast enough and you know, everything seems stacked against you, and you get those little victories a lot where it's, I got through that. I got through it. I was okay. So I think that that's a huge part of it. And then the other part of it is, you again, referring back to a 21-year-old kid, that if you don't have a lot of life experience and you don't understand, you've been kind of sheltered, I think, you know, in a lot of cases. I think everybody in their life is fairly sheltered. They're
very limited to
product of their surroundings, right? Getting to know other people and getting to know people from other walks of life that you would not have had contact with, or, you know, whether you would have avoided it or there just never would have been an opportunity to really get to know people. There's a connection with this. There's a, you know, if I was on a cycling team, as an example, I think, you know, everybody's there to help themselves improve and help the people around them improve, and you know, with the idea that everybody is going to help each other out, and you celebrate each other's victories and things like that in any group. But there's a connection with grappling that I think is different than any other thing that you do. And you, first of all, when you start, you learn how to be humble really quick.
Yeah.
You know, you really learn that
you realize,
you're not as good as you thought you were, and you know, and that's fine, and you're accepted for that.
Yeah.
But I've had the opportunity to meet people that I would have never in a million years had contact with, and they've been some of the, you know, like some of the best people I've ever met. And you know, I use that experience in how I relate to things at work, because you know, it's not I'm not as sheltered as I was prior to doing this, and in what my surroundings are. And then you realize that, hey, just because somebody has a different background or a different lifestyle or whatever, it doesn't mean they're a bad person. Yeah. And allowing that kind of mindset, I think, is
that's so good. I'm
really beneficial.
That's so, like, I never thought about that, but yeah, because now you're surrounding yourself with people that may look a certain way, act a certain way, talk a certain way, and you realize, oh, they're not dangerous, they're not this, they're not that, whatever misconception you had, and now you can go out to the world and treat everybody equal. Not that you wouldn't because you're a bad person, but just our minds do that sometimes.
It resets your perspective on things.
Resets your perspective.
It is so good.
So good.
I think exactly the same way. There is some friends that I have, like, that there is no way they could be my friends out of this if it's not for this place. Because when I know one guy then was a good friend of yours, and he was a friend of mine too, maybe not as good, and he was a bad boy, and he was one of the nicest guys that I ever met. But I'm talking about when I'm talking about bad boy, that guy was, and he was like the sweetest person ever. And so many people at the gym, seriously. I keep going back to gym because we have this, even though we don't train together as much as we used to. We have something in common that he probably don't even remember things that he have done and help a lot of people. I have a guy here right now. Then about 10 years ago, Jim called me and said, there is a kid here and his mom is giving up on him and the district don't want him in the schools and you probably, I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
And I say, hey, just send him here. That kid came and I had the conversation with him and started doing something and I forgot about it. And about 2 hours later, a lady walked in with this kid, this little cholito. And they sit in the front desk and then I asked him, how can I help you? She said, oh, the police. I say, oh. And then I look over the computer saying, then you are the kid that is how. He said, I have no problem with anything. I am not a trouble kid or nothing. He said, hey, seems to me like you do, because that's why you're here. And I remember joking with him and I say, hey, if you like to fight, just sign up and whenever you feel like you want somebody to punch your ugly face, just come here and I will do it for you. I say, the cool thing, you don't get in trouble. And he looked at his mom and said, sign me up. There's a 15-year-old kid, okay? That kid, long story short, started training here. And about a year and a half later, he went back to school, got a job, disappeared, never seen him again. He come back 10 years later with his kid.
I think I know who you're talking about. Oh,
And this
so
kid,
cool.
and he said, Coach, this thing did what it did for me. I want my kid to grow up in this place. And I am like, this is so good. Now he's back training, and it changed so much. Like I'm telling you, like you say, I won't be the person I am today without this. It's such a great thing. It helps you to mature and be in control of your life more than anything else. Like people ask me, did you ever get mad? Like, because I'm always like, and I always talk to him, say, I never seen this guy. I know him for 25 years. I don't remember seeing.
I think it just
seeing
increases your self-awareness and then your self-control. Like if it helps you with all that.
And you come here sometimes and it's like so many kids working out with you guys, and there's no other place where they can have that relationship other than here.
Yeah.
Seriously. It's so good.
We could talk about it all day, huh, Coach?
No, seriously.
Oh, we can. We can sit here and talk
It's
about
so
it.
great because I remember one day Edwin came here. Edwin is one of the, one of the Fontana PD guys, and something happens, and we are working out in there, and he stopped and he said, "Hey, Coach, do you know that I don't allow anybody to interrupt this detox moment for me?" He said, I leave all my problems at that door. He said, because if I don't, I'm gonna get choked. He said, but it's so good for me because all the things that I see in the street, he said, I come here and everything goes away.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I can imagine that has a huge impact on you guys' mental health because you guys see so many things and you guys need an outlet, to release all that. So my last question, I don't know if you have any other questions, but what advice would you give to other police departments considering implementing this type of training in their department?
I would say do it, first of all. I think it's extremely important. There's a lot of statistics that show like the reduced injuries and I think in all, the benefits far outweigh the negatives. And we've had some injuries and things like that. We had a couple that in training, but it's in a controlled environment here. And the lesson is learned. They understand what not to do, and, you know, we move on. But the benefits that you see from it far outweigh any negatives. And I know that, you know, people are slow to change, and people resist change. But this has been proven over time for, you know, years and years and years now. I think it needs to be, you need to have, it's helped a lot, the fact that, like, for years, I would train with all the kids that went to the academy. They would come in, after the academy, they do a couple weeks of training before they start their FTO phase. And I would take a day and go in, and I would roll with all of them. And I kind of would make the point, you're in the best shape of your life. You just got out of the academy, you're running every day, working out every day, and you're gassed in a minute. And, you know, you understand now what it feels like to have somebody who is trained come in and basically control you until the point of exhaustion almost.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I would explain to them, you need to find a place to train. Go train. Find somewhere to go. It's intimidating, I know. I'll go with you. If you find a gym by your house, I'll go with you and help to kind of like ease that a little
You've been doing
bit.
this since the beginning.
Yeah,
You believe in
but we
this.
just didn't have a program
Right.
in place to do it.
Yeah.
And now that we have the program, that we've seen, you know, I can't even tell you all the benefits that we've seen from it. I would encourage anybody to do it. I would encourage anybody, if they have questions about it, to reach out, and I'll answer any questions that they have. I think if you're not doing it, you're making a big mistake at this point.
You know, then one of the good things about having the Fontana PD here is that a lot of people from other departments hear about what we're doing. And I have guys here from Riverside. I have guys here from San Bernardino Church. I have guys from Ontario.
LAPD.
LAPD.
Yeah.
We have so many guys, and it's just because they hear about this. And George, you met George. You knew him before, I think. George is pushing the Ontario PD to do this because they hear what is happening with them, with the Fontana PD, and it's contagious. You know, like, in Jim, one of the things that I really appreciate from him is that if somebody came here and say, hey, my department this or that, I want to talk, and I tell him, he will go to the department and talk to them. Seriously. He has been, I know, in Rialto and some other places, talking about this just to, because he believes in what we're doing.
Yeah.
Then it's important that we have this. You know, one of the things is then the Fontana PD, the guys don't pay to be here.
Right.
You know, it's I don't know what magic he pulled, but the city paid for them to be here. And why is that if it's free and it's good for you and everything, we don't have more people here? Seriously, it's so effective, it's free, and we just work helping these guys. And I tell them, hey, it don't have to be a class, and you know that. If you need help and you don't feel comfortable with everybody here, just come. I work out with you. I seriously,
Really will.
Yeah.
He's not just saying that, he really will.
I'm telling you, I love these guys, seriously, because I know that it's so hard to be a cop right now.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, everything is against you guys and everybody with the cell phones, everybody doing all this kind of stuff. Then instead of helping you or stuff like that, the people are trying to see where did you made a mistake. How now this is something I don't know how you guys deal with that. How do you guys, having 10 people with the cell phones, did that influence the way that a cop act or?
No, and we wear cameras. You know, all of our officers wear cameras, and no, it doesn't change anything. They're going to do everything, whether somebody else is recording it or they're recording it.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
because it's so much stuff going on around you guys that some people try to help, some people is against the police. And so, how do you guys deal with that? How, like, for me, I'm telling you, there is not a way that the police is gonna get hurt in a fight if I'm there. Seriously, I don't care what is gonna happen, but like somebody posts one day, if you see a police and under stress and he's getting in a fight, would you do something about it? I say, no cop is gonna get beat up in front of me. I'm telling you right now.
People will go to sleep.
Because, you're not allowed to choke somebody. I do. You know what I mean? and it's crazy because how can you, and I know that the city of Fontana have a good relationship with you guys.
Yeah, we have a great community.
Seriously, I hear that so many times. Then there is I don't know if it's true or not, but there is a room in the Fontana PD where you guys have a lot of like little letters that people send to you guys and thank you, you guys.
That's so cool. I love that.
I think you mentioned to me, somebody mentioned to me, then there's a whole bunch of those.
That's good.
And having the city supporting you and everything that you do and everything is really great too. But
Yeah.
as for me and my gym, the doors are always open for you guys.
Yeah.
God knows how I love having you guys here and everything is because I think we should do the best that we can for our city.
Yeah.
It-
I always say this. Because there's so many different narratives when it comes to the police department, but I always tell people, look, I don't care who you are. Let's just say your kids go missing, your kids are in trouble, your family's in trouble. Who are you going to call? And it's always going to be the cops. I don't care what anybody's emotions say or anything. So I'm just grateful that, that you believe in them and that you stand behind them. And I think more people need to. And this is a great way to do that.
And you gotta create like a culture in the gym because if I am the only person that feel that way and all the coaches feel in a different way, it's gonna be hard. Yeah. But I have something right here, and I am blessed with having people that feel the same way about the Fontana PD. They feel the same way about the law enforcement,
yeah.
And they. And me personally, I grew up watching the SWAT movies, and I always thought these guys were superhuman, and they are. But never in my wildest dream I thought I was gonna train with these guys and even help a little bit in what they are learning.
Yeah.
And every time that you guys walk in here, and I can see them, this is helping you guys do your job better. That made me feel good, like.
Well, even Jay, whenever we're driving around and we see a cop car, we're like, he's like, I wonder who that is.
You look and see?
Yeah, Jay's always
Yeah.
like, I wonder who it is. I wonder who it is.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what? We're excited to see cops. We grew up thinking, we should, yeah, right? So it's just, well, because you guys have built relationships. You guys know them behind just the car, right? So you guys see that they're real people with real emotions, with real, they're morals.
I was driving one day and I see a police car and say Fontana PD, and then I open the window
Yeah.
and I just look and I don't know this guy, and I am looking at him and I told my wife was next to me, let's see what, and I look at him and then he put the window down. He said, how can I help you, sir? He said, no, I was wondering if I have seen you at the gym. He said, oh. But it's great because
That's funny.
we have this amazing relationship. Like you say, it's more like a family thing than anything else. Because people is afraid of the cops sometimes. And I really love seeing you guys around. Seriously,
Yeah.
It's good. Jim, is there anything that you can share with us about, like any incident with any of the cops that you can say, wow, that helps because you're doing this, or?
Well, I see it.
Oh,
I
okay.
see it. And, we go back and we look at all the use of force incidents. So, we go back and we review reports. We look at the body worn camera. we're constantly trying to get better. Part of being a professional organization is you have to constantly try to get better, right? So we go out and look at those, and I can tell right away the people that train. If you were to blur them out completely, you don't know who it is, and you were to watch it, you can identify the people that train regular
That's
and
so
the people
cool.
that don't. And then, you can still, you identify right away, you start seeing a technique that we teach in, say, annual training. You can see it right away. And it's completely different. And if you were to go back, 10 years, it would look completely different. So I see it all the time. I see it all the time. And just the confidence level, and with confidence comes the ability to de-escalate a situation.
Yeah.
When I don't feel like I have to ramp up to try to get you to calm down because of probably a confidence issue with me. When I can calm down and I can bring you down with me, that makes a huge, huge difference. And I see it. I look at all of Tyler's that unit. If they have a use of force, I can definitely see it. There's no doubt about it. So it's a big, big difference.
So cool.
It's great that you mentioned Tyler, because, he is such an amazing guy. Tyler is such an amazing guy. And he is, as a cop, I think he is amazing too, because what I hear from other guys in the department, that they say, no, this guy is great. And I hear about little things about when, incidents with him and everything, and I am like, this is so good. He was telling me the other day, he said, I am so confident about what we are doing right here, that when I have a confrontation, I know what to do. Then it's good. It's good because he's great. I love everybody, but he's one of my favorite guys, because even though he doesn't need to be here and stuff like that,
I see him here a lot.
He started with us, Tyler started coming here about 2 years ago, something like that.
Probably.
And I'm telling you, he is probably one of the guys that is more advanced right now in everything he does.
You can tell he's passionate about it.
He just competed in a tournament and against black belts, and he barely kept beat by one guy by 1 point. He was doing so amazing. He got
That's so
second place, and you see a cop competing there, and it's so good to know that he is so in love with this, because he sees the benefits, and that is the thing, is anything that, I know this is probably a silly question. What if you can do something to make it mandatory? Can we do that?
That was actually one of my
So-
questions. Do you ever see it being like a foundational thing?
I hope one day we get there, but I hope it's not. It's really hard to get people, you're talking about a lot of like strong personalities, and when you tell them they have to do something,
All of a sudden they don't.
then they don't want to do it all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So the idea is as we continue to grow this, that it's just an accepted part of the culture of the department.
That's
that
cool, yeah.
It's not a mandatory, it's an expectation, I guess. And it would be great if we get there. And there's a lot of, things that we're trying to do to do that, but like Tyler's team, they come here every week. That's the start of their workday when they come here. That was something that he brought up a few months ago, said, hey, would it be okay if we did that? And of course, we want them to come train. Let's get them in here and do that. The Met unit is here, like you were talking about. They're here, almost every day now.
We have guys every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, that makes sense.
before they come in and start their
Yeah.
shift. And as those things start happening and it becomes more accepted over time, you've already seen the numbers of people that are coming in. That number has been growing steady, and it will continue to grow to the point that it's just the expectation. It's not. I really resisted the idea at first of saying, hey, this is mandatory. You're going to be there, because that just,
You just know that.
just comes with its own host of problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, but can you do it like when you hire them? No, when they are cops already, but in the application you gotta.
Well, like we bring in the cadets. We were bringing them in when we do a pre-academy, so we get them for usually 2 months or so before the academy starts to kind of get them their training started, and we bring them in before that, and we try to ingrain that into them from the very beginning,
Yeah.
so that when they get out of the academy, they're ready to go. It's already something established for them, and we encourage them to come in. One of the benefits of doing it here, obviously, is they have to come to the city every day that they work, and so they can come in and train before or after a shift.
Yeah.
So we're trying to like just naturally let that grow, but yeah, I hope one day it's just the expectation that everybody's going to train.
I have a question. Maybe this is off camera type of question, but is there anything that us as a Aguirre's fighting system can do to help with that culture, help push that? Just because we see the benefits and we just love you guys.
That's a tough one, and I don't know. I'm not trying to discourage anybody by any means, but to get this program up and running somewhere else is going to take more work, I think. We've been like super blessed to have Franklin here. Like I say, I've known Franklin for so long, and when the idea came up, it was like, that's the perfect guy to go to. Just like when somebody comes and says, hey, I'm having problems with my kid, the perfect guy to go to, right? And for a lot of different reasons. I think, the biggest thing boils down to character, and there's not many people around that you're going to find that have the character that Franklin has. That's something that you don't see in people, very often. So having that from the very beginning helped a lot. And then having Franklin, not only do you have a strong character, and like your moral compass is dead on, but you demand that of the people around you.
Yeah.
And I think that's another key is, I know your coaching staff is going to have the same philosophy that you have. And so there's zero reservations on my end to say, hey, I am recommending that we go train here. So, between you and all your coaching staff, it was a perfect fit. I've been to a lot of gyms. I know you've been to a lot of gyms. I can't think of, many bad experiences that I've had at gyms, and I think that, there's a commonality in the idea that people are coming together to get better, and I want to get better, but I want Franklin to get better with me if we're both training at a gym.
Yeah.
And, I can't get that much better if I don't bring him along with me or vice versa. So it's a unique environment in that aspect, and I think that's pretty universal. But I think there's a whole nother level to the idea, and I've trained at a lot of places, and they're nice, and they welcome you in, and I don't think I've ever had somebody mistreat me anywhere,
Right.
or I walk away thinking, oh, I shouldn't have gone there.
Yeah.
So that is pretty common. What Franklin brings to it is not common. It's a whole different level, and it's because Franklin lives his life like that in the gym and out the gym. And I think that is a huge aspect to it.
Yeah.
And to have, we breed the idea in the academy that you want people to be, conscious of their surroundings, and you want them to understand, if you've lived with mom and dad your whole life and you have a very limited life experience, we want you to know that there are dangerous people out there, and you need to constantly be watching out for them. And sometimes that is, in order to get somebody to grasp that concept, you kind of have to scare them a little bit to say, hey, there are some really dangerous people, and everywhere you go, people are looking to do harm to you. And they tend to see things that way. Like I say, experience over time, you realize, oh, not everybody's trying to harm me. But at first, there's a little bit of that. And they don't want to let their guard down. And, they go into a gym and they see people from all walks of life and they don't know who they are. And, you're kind of a little bit suspicious of things that are going on around you. To be able to have that confidence that you're never going to find that here. You're not going to find that here. Franklin's going to take care, and he knows who's training here, and he knows he's going to keep this environment as a safe environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I never think that way because when the guys are fighting, like Danny is a good example of, sometimes we go and there's 15 cops just going to see him fight. It's one of the coaches, and then you look at the other side and you have all these cholitos looking at him and watching him fight, and you have this group of people there that there is no other way that they can be together, and they know who they are, and I just
it's a very special thing,
that because oh my goodness,
can't really put words into it.
And Jim, is anything like if you go to another gym to train, and they know what you do, they know you are law enforcement. Is there any? Do they change the way that they see you or the way that they train with you? Did you ever experience anybody that say, "Okay, he's a cop, let's beat him up"? Did you ever?
So, you were talking about, people are apprehensive about law enforcement, right? And I get it. If I get pulled over today when I'm driving back to the station, I'm gonna have my heart rate's gonna go up. I'm gonna get nervous, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's just a natural. It's just a natural response, and I think that. Well, to answer your, I'm going to answer it this way. I think there have been gyms that I've been in that I'm not going to tell them where I work, right? And
that's a good way to put it.
When we were at WCG, there was a gym down the street, and our gym closed, and I was looking for a place to train, and I went down the street. And when I first walked in, that was a place I was not going to tell anybody where I work. After I was there, I stayed there for a couple of weeks, but after I had been there a couple of times, I realized, okay, they have a persona about them, but that wasn't necessarily fair. I was judging a book by its cover, I guess, and I realized, okay, these guys are all right. They wouldn't cause me a problem.
Yeah.
But I did initially think, I don't know if I want to tell these guys what I do for a living.
Yeah.
I think the sport's changed over time, and you're not going into gyms where, back then it was predominantly fighters that were training, and you go into a gym and there's a guy with a red mohawk and he's got tattoos everywhere, and it was a different environment. And now when you go into most gyms, it's a family environment. It's people are in there with their kids and they're construction workers and lawyers, and you get people from all walks of life, and so it's different. And I don't know now that I would be apprehensive about telling anybody what I do. But yeah, I think there was a time when you brought it up, I thought of that experience in particular.
Maybe I shouldn't tell them.
Yeah.
No, I say that because I hear things like that, and I just, and like you say, maybe because the way that I see the law enforcement, I will never allow that to happen. Just because somebody got arrested, hey, you got arrested because you're a dummy. Don't blame somebody for it.
Right.
Right. And it's funny that you say that because when I am driving, the speed that I'm supposed to go, and I see a police car, I don't get nervous. I get nervous.
You're very unique.
When I am going a little bit too fast, and I see a cop, oh no, and I look my speedometer right away.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
The reason why sometimes we get like that is because we are doing something that we're not supposed to.
Exactly, yeah.
Then, but I really appreciate you guys, Jim, especially you. There is no way we will have the Fontana PD or the SWAT training in this facility without you. I know you don't want to take all the credit for that, but if there is, seriously, if there is a person that made this happen, it's you. Seriously, I just love you for that. I know you're, and you know, Jim said about my character and everything. No, this guy is one of the best people I know in the world.
It's no wonder you guys are friends. That kind of makes sense.
Jim is an amazing friend, but as a person, I'm telling you, I don't have absolutely nothing negative to say about Jim. And that's 25 years knowing him, and it's just this amazing person. Then he just wants the best for everybody, and you know, and I think that is why we are good friends.
Yeah, literally.
Because you know, integrity and you know, character, like you mentioned, is important in your life. And
Sure.
A pastor told me many years ago. He said two things that you gotta protect. He said one is reputation, and the other one is character. Say reputation because that's what people think of you, and character is who you really are.
Yeah.
And I tell people the same Franklin that you see here is the same that you see at home, and the same that you see at church. Whatever you see me, you're gonna see the same person.
Yeah.
And because I don't want to have two lives, you know. I want the people see me for, you know, the person that I really am. And I really love this relationship. I really love you for having this going on with us, because I know that there is no way we will be here without you, and I appreciate that.
I can't thank you enough.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there's when you think about, you know, anytime I've been involved with anything, I think obviously when I start, I want it to be better when I leave, you know, and if there's anything that, you know, I could in some small way, and it's not me, I'm well aware of it's not me, but with guys like Kellen and Adrian and Tyler and Mark and, you know, all these guys that are getting involved now, I feel like if there was one thing that I could bring to the table in the time that I was here is the idea that we incorporate this and it becomes just part of the culture of the department, you know. And I don't know that we could have done this without Franklin. It was like a perfect recipe for things to come together. And, you know, I think about when I first started out, I mean, Franklin used to beat me up, like bad, beat me up. I don't know if anybody's ever really beat me up like Franklin used to beat me up. But
I can kind of believe it.
And I think like the reason that, I'm going to rewind just a little bit from when I first started. I would go to the gym, and there was, you know, Joe Stevenson, and Joe's still my coach to this day. That was 25 years ago, and I still train with Joe. Franklin, Jason Lambert, Philip Miller, you know, and the list goes on. And I would go in, and they would put me in a cage with these guys, me and Cliff, and we would get beat up for an hour straight. Like Franklin would throw me, my feet would be in the air, I would land, and you know, and he's a big guy, but he was even more intimidating then too. And they would abuse the heck out of us, Cliff and I. But they did it because we wouldn't stop, and it was like, okay, we'll just go in and just get beat up next time we come. And I really appreciated that, but I really did. I do to this day. But I think, when we started, the sport was different.
Oh, tell me.
And, everybody, I mean, when I started with Joe, I think Joe was 16 when I started.
Wow.
And so in our own ways, we've all grown up during that period of time. And it's neat that we still have relationships. I mean, 25 years later, Franklin, the gym had closed at one point. I went to Body Shots and trained with Franklin during that time. And then when Franklin opened back up over here, I've been able to come in here and train. And it's neat, just the whole culture of the sport, I think, and the friendships that you develop, and all the things that you learn, about yourself, and you learn, I guess, life in general. You learn a lot of different things. And I can't thank you enough for this. I can't thank you enough for the opportunity that we have here. I can tell you it has made a difference in the field for us.
Right.
And I can only see that growing and getting better over time. And I do feel like it was a little bit of a slower start, at first. And then when people start coming in on a regular basis, and they're coming in with their whole team, and there's 5, 6 of them that are coming to train.
Come out of that,
No, it's great, and the confidence and the camaraderie and everything that it brings, but it's contagious, and I think that we're still in the very beginning stages of it. I think that as time goes on, this is just going to grow, even more. I really hope we can get the other departments that are around us involved in it. I have no question the benefits that it brings, and so I appreciate it.
Same here. I'm blessed having you guys here, and that anytime that you guys want to be here, anytime that it don't have to be a group. If you have a cop that is struggling with something, call me and let me know, and I'm open to There is 3-4 hours that I don't do nothing during the day here. I can work out with them and do whatever they need to get,
And I think everybody knows you put your money where your mouth is. That's not just words. It's that you've done it for people. They definitely appreciate that.
I love you guys. That's great.
It's good. It's good. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it, my friend. That's great. I was waiting for de-escalation for a long time.
I know he was so excited. He kept me, remember, kind of good. I'm like, I got you.
Stop selling him a thing. But
All right,
it's
this is
just
good.